Hey everybody, hello, how are you all? My name is Tiffany and I am here today to do a very casual sit down tag with you all. This tag is called the off the shelf tag and it's questions about non-bookish things. I originally saw this video from Brian's channel over at Bookish Texan. And then according to his video, the tag was created by Mike at Bibliophile Reads. And I wasn't tagged by anybody directly to do this video, including his video. But at the end of his video, he did say that if anybody watching felt the urge to do it. So here I am. I have the questions printed out here, otherwise I will forget. I've got my Alani energy drink here with me. Please drink responsibly because caffeine is a drug, and especially if you are under the age of 18, caffeine will impact you differently and probably more strongly than you expect. So drink responsibly and we'll go ahead and get right on into it. This tag consists of 20 questions. The first one being, when you're not filming or reading, what does a normal day in your life look like? And then in parentheses, work, school, etc., whatever you feel comfortable sharing. Because I do reading vlogs a lot, any of you who watch them probably already know this, but basically I do a lot of working and house caring stuff, and I am a parent. So I have two kiddos. I have a toddler who's with us full time, and then I'm the bonus mom to a lovely, lovely teenager who's about to be 15 years old. And he's with us for summer and the holidays. So he's getting ready to come with us for the summer, and I'm so excited about it. So my day-to-day life looks a lot like spending time with my family, making meals, cleaning, a lot of play because I have a toddler again, and I really like to engage actively with her. I also work. I'm in the process of transitioning from a very, very part-time job to a very not part-time job. What I mean by that is, like, I was working less than 20 hours and I basically had all control over my scheduling, and I'm transitioning to a position where I'm working full-time and I have my schedule given to me. So my day-to-day is also drastically changing, but up until then, yeah, I have worked a little bit. Also, have been getting back into getting outside, getting more active, being more at the gym. So that's kind of what my day-to-day life looks like. Nothing exciting to the outside perspective, but for me, living in my life, I really, really like it. The second question is, what kind of work do you do, and does it change how you read or what you notice in stories? I'm always a little bit hesitant to talk about what I do on this channel, just because I wouldn't want anybody to reach out to me in a professional capacity, and I don't fulfill that. It's not fair to them, and it's also not necessarily fair to me because this space is curated for me as a human being, not me in my professional capacity. Not that those aren't very intertwined, but you know what I mean. But essentially what I will say is that I work in the field of mental health. And what I specifically do in that field is changing also with this job transition. But it absolutely does change. Maybe not so much what I read, though I'm sure it does below my level of awareness. But it certainly does impact in a more noticeable way what I notice in stories. I tend to be very focused on the psychological components of different people, and I don't mean that as in like a judgmental prescriptive way, more so in a, I think about what the characters in the book are feeling, what they might be thinking, how their life context might have contributed to what's happening in the current story. If it's a nonfiction book, I also think about all these other components that the nonfiction book might be missing or what it addresses. If that makes sense. It's hard to get into too many specifics without having a specific example in mind. But I'm always thinking about that. And I guess it does impact what I read too, because a lot of times I hear people say that they hate books where it's just kind of like somebody's inner monologue nonstop. And I love books like that. To me, those kinds of books are so rich and give so much depth to the character because I can kind of see how that person's schematic assessment of the world is based on the conglomerate of details that they share in their inner monologue. And I really, really enjoy that. I love hearing the richness and depths of people's inner experiences, which is probably has to be impacted by my job field. But I will say, I don't think it's that my job field or my profession impacts what I notice. I would say what I notice impacts why I got into this profession in the first place. The third question is, are you a morning person or a night owl? Oh, this is a hard question to answer as a mom with a toddler, because before toddlerhood, I would say I'm a little bit of both. Like, I'm not a super late night owl. I would like to go to bed around midnight, 1, maybe 2, but I also love mornings. I'm one of those people who, especially pre-baby, when I was really well rested, I would wake up in the morning and I feel like Cinderella, just like singing and like, come here animals, let me feed you, and opening the windows, I definitely tend to feel that way in the morning. So usually, again, like pre-baby, I would maybe go to bed around midnight, 1, maybe 2 at the latest, and then wake up around 6, 7. And I loved that. And I would say now as a parent, I am more of a morning person in the way that I have to be. And I'm not a night person in the way that I can't be, because if I don't go to bed early, then I will not get sleep. And I have been chronically sleep deprived for the last 2 years, which I love to tell anybody, even if they don't ask, especially if they don't ask. And I'm just now getting to the point where I sleep an average of 4 to 5 hours a night. And that sleep is so precious to me because I'm just starting to feel like a fully functioning, not even fully functioning, 3/4 functioning human being. So yeah, now it's different. Now I guess I'm more of a morning person. The fourth question is, do you recharge by being alone or talking to people? And I don't really have a direct answer to this kind of binary question, because in my experience, it's kind of a false binary. Certainly there are people who are one extreme or another, but in my experience, I'm a little bit of both. So I really desire connection with people, talking to people, more so quality over quantity. I get overwhelmed when there's like big groups of people, or even somewhat big groups of people, but that I'm like demanded of, like there's like a lot of social demands, but I really do enjoy more intimate conversations with people, especially if there's a level of closeness and comfortability that can energize me. However, it has to be in moderation, because then I quickly get tired and want to retreat in isolation for a little bit. Again, I will say, post baby, I don't really ever have isolation. That's one of the, I think, the difficulties that many mothers talk about, and I sometimes too experience. Is there are sometimes where I wish I could, have a few more minutes to myself. But for the most part, I like a good balance. I wouldn't say exactly 50-50. I'm a little bit more towards the isolation for energizing type of person. But yeah, it's all about a balance. The fifth question is, what drains you more, too much socializing or too much isolation? Which I feel like is kind of a version of the fourth question, but both really drain me in very different ways. Too much socialization just becomes exhausting. I get overwhelmed. To me, I'm very aware of different sensory stimuli. And I've become more aware of this as I've gotten older. Like, I used to think everybody experienced the world the way that I did, but I'm learning that that's not always true. And so when there's a lot of like movement, I can see people moving. There's a lot of sounds, there's a lot of smells, there's a lot of the social aspects that need to be attended to, like making sure I've greeted everybody. Am I presenting myself in a warm and welcoming way? Am I making sure that I keep the social interaction fairly balanced, talking about myself and being authentic, but also making sure that I am inviting the other person to show up with the same capacity in the same way. So I enjoy doing those things, and they drain me. Okay. So after a night out with heavy socializing, I'll feel kind of more like physically and mentally tired, and I kind of just want nothingness for a little bit. When I get too much isolation, though, I just start to feel like I'm in a black hole or like a black pit of nothingness, right? It's kind of like a sensory deprivation. It's the other end of the extreme. I start to feel kind of hollow and empty. I I have come to learn that I am somebody who, I think most of us are like this. I really, really crave connection with other people. And so if I don't have that, then I also feel exhausted, but just in a very different way. Okay, so question number 6 is, what's something that you enjoy that has nothing to do with reading? And I would say I really, really do love to, I feel like I'm going to get judged for this, but I'm going to say it anyways. I really like to play, okay? And I was going to say workout or exercise first, but that's not really it. I love to move my body in ways that are fun, and that can be the gym. Like, I do like going to the gym and I do like exercise, but it doesn't have to be. I just love being out and playing, and nothing has shown me that more than having a toddler, where I have to play toddler games sometimes. And I thought I would have to work really, really hard to fake excitement and fake energy and fake playfulness. But as it turns out, I just have a never-ending well of that within me. I can be dead tired, and as long as I'm open to turning my mind towards that, and I'm not kind of like stuck down on feeling grumpy and exhausted, I really get enjoyment out of playing, running around, being silly. I love chasing my toddler. Currently, one of our favorite games to play, don't judge me, okay? Or judge me, just don't tell me about it, but I call it inoculation, because she's always loved Halloween stuff. And she sometimes watches like kids versions of zombies. And so we started playing zombies. So she'll be baby zombie or I'll be mommy zombie. And then we chase each other around, and then the other one has to give us a little fake shot from her doctor kit, and then we're healed. And then we say, wow, I'm no longer a zombie. Yay, we hug. And then, oh, one of us turns into a zombie again. And I don't have to like pretend to have fun in that. Like, it's fun. Mainly it's fun because she's having fun and her fun is my fun. But you know, I really do like those kinds of things. Or she watches these videos that we sometimes do together. I think the YouTube channel is called Danny Go. And there's all of these really interactive games for kids, and I'm not gonna lie, they're kind of fun. Like, I think my favorite ones are the Bravest Guard, because the song kind of slaps. And also there's a flamingo one that's just so fun to do with her. I also really, really love being outdoors, whether that's hiking. I'm trying to get back into rollerblading. It's very, very scary though. At 34, I'm gonna be 35 this year. The risk of falling, especially post having a baby, like, the risks of falling are so much more serious than when I was like even in my 20s. But I love going out and rollerblading. I want to get a bike. I like bike riding, laser tag, anything like that. I really, really enjoy. So playing is going to be my answer for number 6. Number 7 is, do you like planning things ahead of time or figuring things out as you go? And I have always been a planner. In fact, I have had to put a lot of intentional time and effort and practice into letting myself be more flexible when flexibility is needed. For a long time, that want to plan things was more so out of my own comfortability. I'm the kind of person where I feel like I have to be mentally prepared for something. I have to have time to like mentally take it in. It doesn't matter if it's a good thing, a neutral thing, or a bad thing, all of it. I need time to like mentally prepare for what's coming ahead. And when I don't have time to mentally prepare, it feels far more stimulating to me than when I have that time to prepare. So now I am much more open to things kind of being figured out as they go. But I also get more overwhelmed at the end of the day. Like, I get tired quicker. And it's interesting because now having a toddler, I have to be more planned, but I have to be more flexible, because I have to try to plan for the toddler's needs, but also there's no level of planning that can be certain about those things. So I have to be flexible. So I like planning ahead, and I am open and flexible to figuring things out as we go if we have to, but then I'll need a nap afterwards. Okay, question number 8 is, do you like working alone or alongside others? And again, I feel like all of these questions I'm giving like but answers to. But the truth is I'm a little bit of both. I don't think I would enjoy working a job where I never have interaction with people and I have to do it completely on my own. But I also don't think I would like a job where I'm always interacting with other people. I've worked those kinds of jobs before, and I wouldn't say actually that I don't like them. They're just very exhausting and taxing. So I like work that is kind of split up. Some parts of it are working with others, and then some parts of it are to myself. And the work that I do now is kind of built like that because I have work that I do directly with people, but then I have components where I'm doing paperwork or other tasks that are just me on my own, and I enjoy that aspect of it too. Question number 9 is, are you more sentimental or practical? I don't really know the answer to this. I don't know what the threshold is for sentimental or practical. And I also think it depends on what area. I think when a lot of people ask this question, they mean when it comes to material items, are you more sentimental or practical? And I would say for me, I thought I would be more sentimental, but as it turns out, I've learned through life experiences that I'm actually much more practical. For instance, I was on the journey with my grandparents through their declining health as they were kind of like slowly dying a couple years ago. And when they died, I thought that I would be really, really attached to all the things, right? Like I would want, like, I don't even know what I thought I would want. I just thought I would feel really, really attached to certain material items. And it was not really. And I almost felt guilty about how unattached I was to the items. The only, I think, sentimental material item that I kept with regard to my grandparents is a couple photos. Actually, one is here. And then actually my grandma's wedding band I still wear. But other than that, I don't really feel attachment to physical items. I will say I guess I would classify myself as sentimental in a more whimsical way, or like a thought way. I care deeply about people and connections and the earth, and I feel very sentimental feelings, and I reflect in a way that I would describe as very sentimentally, but I don't experience that out in the material world as much. It's more in here and in here, if that makes sense. Question number 10 is, what kind of pace do you prefer in life? Busy, steady, or slow? Truthfully, I think the best answer I could have for this is I prefer a combination. I think when life is all too fast, that's no fun, and it feels like your life is fleeting. But when it's too slow and there's no variation, I guess I would get bored of that, though truthfully, I don't know. I've never experienced that. I'd like to try to experience it to find a more accurate answer for this question, but I won't have slow pace for a long time, and that's okay. So I think I would prefer mixed, but also currently in my season of life, I'm very busy and I'm okay with that. And I try to slow down internally as much as I can and take everything in, because I know one day I'll look back and be like, wow, that was really, really fast, and I'll feel a little sad. Question 11 is, what's a simple task you strangely enjoy doing? My default answer to this would be cleaning, but I think a lot of people's answer is actually cleaning. Everybody has a different thing though that they like to clean. So let me try to think of something different. I got nothing. It's going to be a cleaning answer too. And I guess like the strangest thing that I guess I would say that I like to clean is the bathroom, actually, and floors. I guess maybe floors. So growing up, I always saw like Cinderella and other kind of movies, like where like the height of like abuse and torture was like her having to like scrub the floors on her hands and knees, and just like the misery of it. And obviously as a kid, I hated chores, and certainly hated something as tedious as scrubbing a floor. But in my adult life, I don't know why, but I actually find it enjoyable and kind of meditative. Like I specifically, like for me, mopping is not fun, but getting down with like a bucket of soap and water and like scrubbing the floor and just like the motions of it and like the smell of the soap, and I don't know why, but I find it enjoyable and again, kind of meditative and relaxing. So I guess scrubbing floors would be my answer. Next question is, are you naturally early, on time, or late? This is something that I have always gotten in a little bit of a conflict with all of my partners, because I'm a very like early person. Early to me is on time. If I'm not 5 minutes early, I'm late. Again, I think it kind of goes hand in hand with like the mental preparedness thing. Like I want to be able to like get to where I'm going early, so I have a couple minutes to say like, okay, I'm here. I can get grounded to the moment and I'm ready to go in or start whatever it is. However, I have had to learn to adapt and change and be more open to being on time, or in some contexts even late. Even though I hate that, what I have learned is like that culturally, or sometimes just socially, things aren't always like that, and sometimes it's kind of weird actually to be early. So I have been more flexible with that, but yeah, naturally I'm an early bird. Like I want to be there early. Number 13 is, what motivates you more, curiosity or responsibility? Not that I'm judging the person who created these questions, but 13 is a question that to me personally doesn't really make sense. Like I'm not quite sure what it's asking, because both curiosity and responsibility, I would say, motivate me in just sometimes in different ways or in different moments. I am a very curious person, and so that has motivated me a lot throughout my life. I've been very open to learning different perspectives and things of that nature. So curiosity motivates me in a way that I think is very significant, but then also so does too my sense of responsibility. For example, in meeting different kinds of people, when I realize how I might be complacent in things that harm other people, that sense of responsibility that I have, like for not harming people, motivates me to change behaviors or to advocate or so on and so forth. So to me, again, this isn't an either or question, it's a both question, or rather, I guess a both answer. Number 14 is, what do you tend to overthink and what helps you feel grounded? I used to have a bigger problem with overthinking than I do now. I did a lot of therapy and a lot of recovery work and also a lot of coping skill practice to get to a place where now it is much better for me, like in my inner experience. Like I honestly feel like a completely different person at times, compared to how much I used to overthink and how anxious I used to be. But I still have a couple areas where I haven't yet fully mastered those skills and adapted them to the different prompt. I'll say now as a mother, one of the ways is like something happening to my child. I'll just state it briefly here. When I became a mother, it was the height of me watching the genocide in Gaza and just watching traumatic footage of children being harmed in ways that unfortunately I don't think I could ever forget. And there was so much of that like the responsibility part, the absurdity of how unfair it is that my child is safe at home with me and these children aren't, and this feeling of like maternal responsibility, like my child is the world to me and is the world, but these children are also the world and also then therefore the world to me. So yeah, I think it really has led to me overthinking things that could possibly happen to my children, or other people's children. And it's something that I've had to work really, really hard, and I still have to work really, really hard to manage effectively, or else I'll get swallowed by it. So there's that. What helps me feel grounded is being with my family. I am obsessed with my family. Like I love them so much, and I think I'm just the luckiest person ever. And so being with them, spending time with them helps ground me. Being with friends helps ground me. I would say anything that gets me in touch with my body helps ground me, and then certainly being outside. So physical exercise isn't always enough. A lot of the times I need to be outside and literally touch grass, as the kids say. So yeah, that's my answer to that. I have to go through the rest of these quick because I have a dentist appointment that I have to get to. So number 15, what is something you always notice when entering a room? I would say I would say the people in the room, or the lack of people in a room. Number 16, what kind of humor do you naturally use? I don't know, man. I find that usually when I try to be funny, very few people think I'm funny. They usually think I'm kind of like odd. And then usually when I do something accidental, that's when people find me funny. So I really can't answer this because I don't think I see myself objectively enough, or I don't think I can see myself through the lens of other people good enough to answer this question. I would say that from my perspective, I would say that my humor is kind of like silly and playful, and sometimes childlike, not in a like necessarily like an immature way, but just in kind of like a silly, playful, lighthearted way. But then also I will say the other side of that is I also can be very morbid and enjoy like dark humor. So I guess both of those would be my answer. But I'm not sure how other people see me. I would be so curious to know what people around me would say about my sense of humor and whether or not they think I have one. Question number 17 is, do you usually multitask or single task? As a parent, I definitely multitask. But I know that we do things most effectively when we single task. And also I like to try to do things mindfully for mental health purposes. And so I try to purposely take things one at a time when I have the luxury of doing so. 18 is, what's your default reaction to free time? Plan or relax? I'm going to ignore that question because free time, I don't know her. I wish I did. 19 is, are you comfortable with silence around other people? Yeah. I think the only time I'm not comfortable is when I'm noticing that the silence is making other people uncomfortable. Then I start to feel the urge and the pressure to fill the silence. Although in the work that I do, I've also gotten very good at sitting with other people's discomfort and not acting on the urge to solve that for them or fix it for them. So if the context makes sense for other people to just stay uncomfortable with the silence, I can do that. However, in most social contexts, when somebody else is feeling uncomfortable, I do kind of take on the role of trying to aid in the conversation because I can tell that they're not comfortable with it. But me, myself, I'm very comfortable just being by somebody and not saying anything. And the last question, number 20, is, do you usually remember conversations or impressions? And again, I have to say both. It just depends on the situation and the context. Sometimes I'll remember something very specific people have said, especially again in the work that I do. I've gotten really good at remembering very I don't want to say small because they're important, but like very detailed things that people have said that I can remember. But I also definitely remember the vibe, the general vibe of people. And sometimes it's interesting because I can remember both at the same time and they don't always match. So sometimes I can recognize that explicitly somebody has said A, B, and C, and I remember A, B, and C, but then I'm like, but wait, there's this jarring juxtaposition here because the impression doesn't really align with A, B, and C that they mentioned, right? So yeah, I would definitely say both. I am not going to tag anybody specific in this video because it's been so long since I've interacted with anybody on BookTube or YouTube that I don't really know who's even active or who would want to do this tag. But if you watch this and you think you're interested in doing this, then go for it and let me know. I would love to go watch yours and interact with your video. I really, really look forward to seeing you all in the next video. And until then, please be well.